they are able to make out the work. Simple, how better they are able to perform the work, and so on and so forth. These aspects are right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, right. Thank you. These aspects are to be understood now. The case of performance appraisal, how the performance appraisal helps for the purpose of measuring the employees and how they are going to make a benefit out of that. And what is it only the performance appraisal is for the organization, or is it for the purpose of employees also? And what are the various important activities that the performance appraisal system, how better they can perform better, all these aspects. Now we are going to learn on this. We are in this particular topic is in the block 3. Yeah, now it is in the block 3. I hope you are able to see the slide. Share screen. Now share. I hope you are able to see the slide now. So,
Yes, sir.
right. Right. Now it is possible for you to understand now. Actually, in the block 3, unit number 10, in the block 10, in the unit number 10, we have discussed in the last class. Let me come out with that. And then block 11 also, we discuss. This is unit number 11, that is career development, we are going to discuss right now. In the block 10, so all of you kindly remember, in the block 3, we are going to cover 11 and 10, sorry, the 10 already covered, that is training and development. What are the important methods of the training, on the job training, off the job training methods and all in the previous class. When coming to the other classes, other topics now, we are going to concentrate on 9 and 11 in this particular class, or else maximum will cover up, and then I will go for the block 4. Already one topic is covered, and I will go for the block 5 in the tomorrow and other two classes, that is 29th and 30th. So I request all the students to make a list of important questions, right, for the total blocks actually. So all the classes what I have told you, and out of that, what is the important questions I discussed in the class, and all these aspects try to make out, and that will help you a better. So now coming to the unit 9, that is performance appraisal system. So let me take a screenshot also. With this data process will be over. Right. Right. Save. Capture 1. Today's date is 22nd. Zoom. Now, when we are talking about the performance appraisal, the block number 9, total 3 in the block 3, unit number 9, there are on some topics I have colored it as red. Those are very, very important, essential topics that every student has to understand and listen and carefully go over them. So out of that, okay, in this block, unit number 9 is relating to performance appraisal. In this performance appraisal process, what is the objectives of performance appraisal? Why an employer, or why an employee needs performance appraisal? How to develop performance appraisal system, and what are the contents to be appraised for the officer job? And out of all this, process of performance appraisal, methods of performance appraisal, essential characteristics of performance appraisal system, and problems in performance appraisal. These are the important elements which are in the examination oriented point of view. I request all the students to kindly note down these aspects as a prime important, and the remaining aspects you can go for the preparation for the subject purpose on this. So next, coming to the performance appraisal system. In this particular process, definition of the performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is a system of evaluation of individuals with regard to his or her performance on the job and his or her potentiality for the development. So here, to simplify, what is exactly the meaning of performance? Before that, let us go back one step forward, one step backward, and understand. In while talking with the job analysis, job description, then I told you about recruitment process. In the case of recruitment, I told you that we will identify and motivate the people to join in the organization to take up the job. So we identify a pool of people who are ready to join. Then, okay, we collected, say for example, 100 applications we have collected. Out of that, are we giving 100 total 100 people, 100 applicants to the jobs? Answer is no. Then the second step is go that selection. What is selection process? Out of the applications collected from the various incumbents, that is those who are very much interested to work for the organization, then we will go for the selection of the employee. When once an employee is selected, he will become a part of the organization. Right. When once an employee became a part of organization, then what is to required, even how much qualified he may be, or how much expertise he may be a very good at his academics also, but he must be given some sort of understanding about the he must be given some sort of understanding about the organization. Must be given some sort of understanding about the organization. So that means how the organization works, what is the role of what is his role in the organization, and how better he can perform that role, and what is the difference between the academic activity, academic learning, and really performing the job on the job, real performance on the job, and so on. So what to already in this process, I told you very clear that okay, a person may be good at accounting. A person may be good at all the other aspects like preparation of trial balance, preparation of final accounts and all. We learn academically. But when we really sit on the job, we will really sit on the job. What is a credit note? What is a debit note? We will get confused. Okay, we know what is the meaning of a credit note. But while writing the credit note, while writing the debit note, or while preparing the trial balance in the journal, in academics, what we will learn, we will get a list of journal entries, and on that we will post it to ledger, and from ledger we will go for the trial balance and so on and so forth. But really in the real organization situation, that is not so easy. Every transaction will not be that much of clear for you. How to improve that how to post it to the journal, how it is actually the balance sheet what we see is nothing will be there in the organization, but the system will be entirely different. So directly if a person sit on the job, he must be given a training program. That also I discussed very clearly in that. So when he is looking at a real life situation, all of a sudden if he see really the balance sheet, really the profit and loss account of a company, he will get confused. So he must be able to understand what is the real life situation. So how to make an invoice, how to make a credit note, how to make a debit note, or how to process the accounting, all the phases, and how to maintain a cash book also. Even simple cash book preparation also will be very difficult in the real life situation. Nowadays it is automatic because of the computerization. But in this process, once we give a training to the employee will be fit to the organization. అంటే మనం ఎంప్లాయీని తీసుకొచ్చేసినంత మాత్రాన అతను ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కి ఫిట్ అవుతాడని నమ్మకం లేదు. ఆర్గనైజేషన్ యొక్క కల్చర్ కి, ఆర్గనైజేషన్ సిస్టమ్ కి అతను అడాప్ట్ చేయాలి. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as గివింగ్ ట్రైనింగ్, అడాప్షన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as we can say. Then once training is complete, then he will become a perfect employee to them. Okay, he is working. Recruitment is over, selection is over, training is over. Then what? Then, okay, let him work for a specific period of time. After a specific period of time, we must be able to appraise the performance of that particular employee. So how he is working, what is the work given to him, how he is doing that work, is there any lapsity? If he is not able to do the activity up to the mark, then again we need to improve his performance, not to terminate actually, actually to say. So there is the performance appraisal system is not a punishment approach. Appraise the performance of the employee, how he is working with regard to his performance. So on the job. So when he is really doing his job, then how he is performing it. At the same time, what are the potentialities he is having for the development in his life? So when an employee is working, the manager will see, okay, this person is working well. Can we promote him for the development? Can we promote him, or can we give him another particular job assignment? What is his developmental aspects? So how fast he is able to understand the situations, how he is able to make a managerial decisions and all. These aspects are to be understood by means of the performance appraisal system. So in simple, we can understand that performance appraisal is a evaluation system of individual with regard to his performance on the job and also for the development aspect on him. Then it is a system of periodic and it is a system of periodic and an impartial rating of the employee. Here, you see, it is a periodic. So what we are going to say is that performance evaluation, once if you are performing well, that's end. It is not possible. So every year, every fortnightly, or every month, or sometimes every quarterly also, the employee performance is assessed. Normally, in the academic session also, every 6 months we will evaluate the performance of the employees. In other companies also, they will evaluate the performance on the quarterly basis. If it is a new employee, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month review. So like that, after up to a substantial period, this performance appraisal system will be conducted on a periodical basis and a rating of the employee. So how better he is able to make his present job and how he is able to excel his job and so on and how better he is able to excel his job and so on and so forth. Better her potential activity and any better job can be assigned him. Or is there any possibility to assign better job? So, totally to conclude upon, performance appraisal is understanding and also impartial rating of employee, especially and in a matter pertaining to his present job as well as also for the potential future jobs also. అంటే ఇక్కడ ప్రజెంట్ జాబ్ ఏ రకంగా చేస్తున్నాడు, ఆ ప్రజెంట్ జాబ్ ఆధారంగా మనం ఏదైనా ఫ్యూచర్ జాబ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ కి అవకాశం ఉంటుందా, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం అసెస్మెంట్ చేయాలి. దిస్ ప్రాసెస్ ఈస్ నోన్ యాజ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అప్రైజల్ సిస్టమ్. Then, what are the objectives of performance appraisal system? That is very, very important. In the case of objectives of performance appraisal system, there are four important aspects that are to be considered. First is developmental uses. Performance appraisal system basically tells us about four objectives. Developmental use, how an employee can be developed. If an employee is developed, what is the organizational uses? So how better he can be useful to the organization. That is all one objective. Second one is administrative decisions. When we go for the administrative decisions, when we go for the administrative decision, so what is his promotional policy? What is his aspirations towards growth? Employee, is he satisfied with the present condition of the employment? I like that administrative decisions also can be taken in this particular situation. Next is organizational objective. So when an employee is working in his organization, hello, Amma, am I clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Main
అర్థమవుతుందా అమ్మ?
for object.
అమ్మా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అర్థమవుతున్నాయా కొంచెమైనా?
Sir,
ఈ సై- ఈ సైడ్ హెడ్డింగ్స్ కొంచెం నోట్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉండండి. ఎప్పుడైనాను నోట్ చేసుకుంటే ఏమవుతుందంటే మీకు దాన్ని ఎలాబరేట్ చేసుకోవడానికి వీలవుతుంది. అదే లేదా ఫోటో తీసుకోండి, మీకు ఆల్మోస్ట్ కొన్ని ఫొటోస్ తీసుకుంటే ఈజీగా ఉంటుంది. క్లాస్ అయితే ప్రాబ్లం ఏం లేదు కదా?
Yes, sir.
రైట్, రైట్. So then third, organizational objectives are that, so how better the organization is able to achieve its objectives with the help of the employee. మనం ఆర్గనైజేషన్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ని ఏ రకంగా అచీవ్ చేస్తున్నాం, దానికి ఈ పర్సన్ ఏ రకంగా యూజ్ అవుతాడు, ఇవన్నీ రెండు కూడా మనం తీసుకోవాలి. ఎంప్లాయీస్ మనం రిక్రూట్మెంట్ చేసినప్పుడు అతను ఆర్గనైజేషన్ యొక్క ఫైనల్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ సూట్ అవ్వగలుగుతాడా లేదా, ఇది కూడా మనం చూడాలి. అదే అనదర్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్. లాస్ట్ వన్ ఇస్ డాక్యుమెంటేషన్ పర్పస్. So when you give employment to a person, when you are paying a salary to the employee, so for the record purpose, okay, I have given employment to a person at a salary of 50,000 rupees per month. What he is doing? Is he doing perfectly or not? Is he carrying out the job properly or not? So how you can say, for the at least audit purpose, how you can say, or other purposes to the manager, how you can report, that is documentation purpose. These are basically the four important objectives of the performance appraisal system. So then With that, we understood that performance appraisal. What is performance appraisal? Assessing the employee performance on the job as well as his promotional activity. Then further, what is the objective? His objectives are actually four categories. One is developmental use. So development of the employee, organizational decisions. So organizational objective. For achieving organizational objective, how he is suitable. Documentation purpose. Yes, I have recruited a right person for the right job. That's all. Administrative decision for the purpose of recruitment policy, administrative policy, increment policy, that is promotional policy, etc. It is useful. Then how to carry out the process of performance appraisal? This is very standard important question in your examination point of view also. So when we talk about the when we talk about the process of performance appraisal, just listen. So creating the performance appraisal standards. This is the core important aspect. Explain the steps in the performance appraisal. Explain the steps in the performance appraisal. Or perform the job. And creating the performance standard is the first one. So first of all, on what basis you are assigning the performance rating? So how you are deciding that whether a person is able to perform his job or not? And what is the basis you are measuring the performance of the employee? So normally in the case of production systems, what we do, if a person is able to produce at 100 units in a particular week, yes, he is a good employee. So if a person is able to deliver this much of calls, then he is a perfect employee. మనం కాల్ సెంటర్స్ లో ఉంటాం. కాల్ సెంటర్ ఎంప్లాయీస్ యొక్క రేటింగ్ ఉంటుంది. సో వాళ్ళకి ఏం చేస్తారు? రేటింగ్ ఇవ్వండి. ఎందుకంటారు? వాళ్ళ యొక్క మెజర్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ దాని మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుంది. సో హౌ మెనీ కస్టమర్స్ ఆర్ సాటిస్ఫైడ్ విత్ ది హౌ మెనీ కస్టమర్స్ ఆర్ సాటిస్ఫైడ్ విత్ ది how many customers are satisfied uh, with the interaction of the this one. So like that we understand about the performance appraisal. Communicating the standards to the employee. Without communicating to the employee, how he can maintain the standard of his working aspect. So when once we communicate, so these are the performance standards. This is the process how you have to work. If you do the work in this way, you will be treated as a best employee. Like that, you have to create some standard, and then you have to create some standard and ask him to perform better for this particular aspect. Then, so once you create the standards, employees will definitely try to achieve that particular standard. ఇక్కడ ఒక పాయింట్ ఏంటంటే మనం ఇది సీక్రెట్ మెకానిజం కాదండి. పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అప్రైజల్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఎ సీక్రెట్ మెకానిజం. పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అప్రైజల్ ఈజ్ ఓపెన్ అప్రైజల్ సిస్టమ్. బికాస్ నీకు రేటింగ్ ఏ రకంగా ఇస్తాము, నీకు ఏ రకంగా మెజర్మెంట్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ చేస్తాము, నువ్వు ఒక జాబ్ని ఏ రకంగా పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ చేయాలి, అవన్నీ కూడా ముందే మనం ఎంప్లాయీకి చెప్తాం. చెప్పినప్పుడు ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు ఆ స్టాండర్డ్స్ మీట్ అవ్వడానికి ట్రై చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. That is communicating the standards to the employee. Next one is measuring the actual performance of the employee. So actually measuring the actual performance of the employee is how better he is able to perform the situation. What is the actual performance of the employee? So how better he did his work better. All these aspects, actual performance ని ఇక్కడ మనం measure చేస్తాం. Then comparing the actual performance with the predetermined standards. What is his performance? What is the organizational standards? Is there any matching between these two? That also we will observe. Then communicate the appraisal with the employee. So once you have appraised the performance of an individual employee, then that appraisal process will be communicated to the employee directly. Okay, Baba, you are able to do this much of work. This is useful. So, but it is required further, and so on and so forth. So, what is the areas of lacking? Where is the scope for the developmental aspect? And if you improve your performance better, what is the benefits that you are going to get? Like all this information will be passed on to the employees. So sometimes what happens in certain cases, very rare cases actually nowadays, the people may not be able to perform up to the standards of the organization. Then take the corrective action. Corrective action does not mean that removing the employee. In any case, removing the employee is not a perfect process measure. So ask them to do the better job, or otherwise transfer him one job to the another. transfer him from one job to the another where this person is suitable. So if he is not able to do a computer operator job, then transfer him to the other lower level jobs. Or otherwise, if a person is highly caliber, but he is not able to adjust with the environment, then change over his environment. Like that, adjust the activities. So these are some of the important steps which which are actually performed in the process of appraisal. So to conclude upon this particular question, so what is performance appraisal? Explain the process of performance appraisal. So first of all, what to be done? Create performance appraisal standards. On what basis you are going to measure the performance of the employee? For example, in the case of the faculty member, the performance appraisal standards basically depends on what is the classroom teaching capacity, how many students are satisfied, how the students are able to gain scores, and how many articles he published, what is the research work he has done. Like that, a list of questions will be there. So how much interaction is there with that, with the students? How better he is able to interact with the students? How many students are having any grievance with that particular the employee or so? So like that, in both negative and positive side also, we will measure the performance of the employees. So, first of all, create performance standards. So, on what basis you are going to, then communicate the standards to the employee. Then, finally, actual performance is to be measured. Compare the actual performance with the standards. Then, communicate the performance appraisal to the employee. Lastly, take up the corrective action. These are the one, two, three, four, five, six steps are there. These six steps, if you write properly, that will be a good answer for it. Then coming to the next directed adjustment. So then methods of performance appraisal system. This is also most important question towards the examination point of view also. So in the case of methods of training also, we understood all these aspects. So performance appraisal methods and traditional methods of performance appraisal are almost similar. So training methods, when we studied how to measure the performance of the training, so then also we discussed about these methods. Traditional methods are, first one is ranking method. So in the case of ranking method, what we do is that in the case of ranking method, it is the oldest and simplest method. It does not have, it is the system is that in this method, each individual employee is compared with all other employees and placed in the rank basis. So each individual employee is placed as a comparison between other employees. And how much is his rank in that particular department. ఇక్కడ ఒక చిన్న మాట, అకౌంటింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ వాళ్ళ ప్రొడక్షన్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ తో, ప్రొడక్షన్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ వాళ్ళ వేరే మార్కెటింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ తో కంపేర్ చేయడం కాదు. ఒక ఎంప్లాయీని ఆ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ లో ఉన్న అదర్ ఎంప్లాయీస్ హూ ఆర్ డూయింగ్ సిమిలర్ యాక్టివిటీ ఆర్ వర్క్, we will compare them, and on the basis of that we will rank his performance against the other employees. This is one. Second one is grading method. Under certain places, there are three different grades are used. One is outstanding performance, satisfactory performance, and unsatisfactory performance. In the case of grading method, we develop three types of grades. First one is outstanding performance. An employee who is able to perform beyond the expectations of the organization. So, what is beyond the level or more than what? So, I thought that he can do some sort of work, but he is doing more than that. That is called an outstanding performance. They are excellently doing the job perfectly without any problem. So, the second one is that satisfactory performance. Okay, he is able to do the job properly. Okay, even though some sort of adjustments are needed. And lastly, unsatisfactory performance of the employee. Performance here is compared with the other employees and they are graded against these levels. So against the performance standards and also the performance of other employees, we will grade them in such a manner. Then paired comparison method is the third method. In this method, each individual employee is compared with other employee, that is on one-to-one basis. Here paired comparison, what is the pair? Pair means one-to-one. Paired comparison method, one employee is compared with another, that is usually based on the trait only. What is the trait? Characteristic nature, what type of job he is performing. One sales representative is compared to another sales representative. One other young sales representative is compared to another young sales representative. Here the word young means age factor. So a person who is aged above, so he is aged below. So like that, another important characteristic is here is that, so almost equal ranking. Almost equal category of employees are compared, and one-to-one comparison is made, and on the basis of that, will performance appraisal is made. I can tell you one important factor here. So normally in this type of situations, they will do, they will calculate or they will consider the year of employment. Year of employment, I am telling. So ఎన్నాళ్ళు అయింది నువ్వు ఎప్పుడు జాయిన్ అయ్యో 2021లో జాయిన్ అయిన ఎంప్లాయీస్ అందరినీ ఒకసారి ర్యాంక్ చేస్తారు. సో ఆల్ ద ఎంప్లాయీస్ హు జాయిన్ ఇన్ 2021, వాట్ ఈస్ దర్ పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అంటే 2021లో జాయిన్ అయిన ఎంప్లాయీస్ అందరినీ కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటూ పోతారు. అక్కడ 1-to-1 కంపారిజన్ మళ్ళా ఆ రకంగా. Then 2022, then 2023, then again comparison between 21, 22, 22, 23. Like that, paired comparison is the best tool, but it takes very critical aspect, and normally two individuals cannot be similar. So this is another important number of times the employees compared better demerits, and finally we will make a rank. Here, actually speaking, in the case of paired comparison method, too many times an employee is compared with the other employee. First of all, his own category, next category, like that. So, but it is a tedious job. So, the paired comparison method takes a lot of time, and this is also some sort of biased nature also. Then, are you clear? Then, forced choice method. In this forced choice method, this contains a series of statements that is rather rates how effectively the statements describe each individual being evaluation. The main limitation of this method is that it takes a lot of time and effort to construct several evaluating statements. So, forced choice method in this case, different series of statements will be given. Are you feeling that organization is good? Are you happy with their employment? Are you happy with are you happy with their compensation, what you are getting? How the work life is in the organization? Like the different questions will be given with yes or no answer, and they have to make a choice of that, either yes or no. He cannot leave that particular question. So then directly we will go for the evaluation of the performance of the employee. Then that is called as the forced choice method. This is given by Guilford, J.P. Guilford, Guilford. He developed this method, but this is the limitation of this method is that it takes a lot of time and effort to construct several evaluating questions which are on the basis of the forced choice. Next one, forced distribution method. Then in this case of this is developed by Tiffen, Tiffen. Tiffen developed this method. In this method, it is assumed that employee performance level conforms to a normal statistical distribution. Already in the statistics you heard about this one. And how better the employee is able to. Your graph is prepared, and out of that, how many percentage of the employees are able to perform better? Say in an organization, say for example, 120 employees are there. Out of that, some performance standard is considered. So against that is taken as a mean. And against the mean value, how many employees are able to do this one? How many employees are not able to perform? A normal distribution curve, that is a bell-shaped curve. I hope you are able to remember back. That is a bell-shaped curve is prepared, and how many employees are above this side or below this side, then on the basis of distribution, we will identify. But in the case of main drawback of this, the distribution grades itself are improperly designed. So if the distribution grades is not clear, the employee may not be able to understand his performance is better or not. So this is mostly statistical based method. And then we will go for the last method. There are so many other methods also, but checklist method is another method. So checklist method, this is similar to forced choice method only. But in the case of this method, a series of questions with the answers yes or no are prepared by the HR department. They are given to the employees for ticking the answers. When all the aspects, each question carries a weightage in relation to the performance. After the checklist is complete, HR department prepares a list of rates and all. ఇక్కడ మనం చెక్ లిస్ట్ ప్రిపేర్ చేస్తున్నాం. దాంట్లో ఎలా ఉంటాయి క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్ని కూడా ఒకదానికొకటి సీక్వెన్షియల్ గా ఉంటాయి, ఒకదానికొకటి ఇంటర్లింక్డ్ గా ఉంటాయి. ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ is linked with 10th question, 10th question will be linked with 15th question and so on. So when employee is answering on a yes or no basis, so how better he is able to understand the job, how better he is able to do that particular job, how better he is having a clarity for that particular job. All these aspects are identified, and on the basis of that, we will give a ranking to that particular employee. Then I have not typed here. That is another one is that critical incidents method. critical incidents method. What is this already we told you, I explained you in the case of the training methods. So out of a particular job, some critical incidents will be identified. So net worth on the job behavior is specific incidents. So the rate emphasis is based on the key behavior that makes difference between the performance in the net worthy manner. In this method, employee performance is applied on three basic steps here. Okay, what is actually actually to understand critical incidents method is that out of the entire job, some situations are very very important. ఇప్పుడు ఒక సేల్స్ రిప్రజెంటేటివ్ ఉంటాడు, వాడు ఫస్ట్ ప్రొడక్ట్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేస్తాడు, ఓకే ఎవ్రీబడి విల్ డూ ఇట్. సెకండ్ వన్ హీ విల్ గివ్ ద ఆప్షన్స్ ఫర్ ద ప్రాస్పెక్టివ్ కస్టమర్స్. లాస్ట్ హీ విల్ ట్రై టు కన్విన్స్ ద కస్టమర్ టు బై ద ప్రొడక్ట్. ఇక్కడ కన్విన్సింగ్ ద కస్టమర్ టు బై ద ప్రొడక్ట్ అండ్ గెటింగ్ ద మనీ ఫ్రమ్ హిమ్, దట్ ఈస్ ఎ క్రిటికల్ ఇన్సిడెంట్. You may explain about the product, but convincing the customer is a difficult one. Last one, highly difficult is that getting the payment from that. First one. In these two critical incidents, how the two different sales representatives are performing. That is one very important. And preparing the list of net worthy jobs on the behavior and how he will be basing on. Then a group of experts design the weights for the incidents, and depending on their degree of desirability to perform a job is compared. So finally, construct a checklist indicating the good, bad, or like that will be made. So in a particular critical incident, how they apply. Like a decision making lo kuda. So some types of critical decision making aspect. While in the case of managerial capacity, how in a critical situation the person is able to make out a decision. That is identified. So normally in the case of HR managers, so how they are dealing with the labor when they are creating a problem. When routine activity everybody will do. But when they are asking for wage increments or they are going for strike, these are critical incidents. In this case, how the manager is dealing with them. That's all. That is the major important area to discuss whether the employee is able to perform his job better or not. And lastly, graphic rating scale method, which I told you, this is graphical rating method. Linear rating scale is designed. That is also another graphical method. So with this, I conclude about the discussion on the traditional methods of performance appraisal. Out of this, the most important methods is ranking, grading, paired comparison, and forced choice method, and checklist method, critical incidents method. So if you remember these methods, it is easy, and you can ignore the forced distribution method and graphic rating scales, which are mostly statistical nature. So if whenever the traditional methods of performance appraisal, you try to understand about, you try to write about ranking, grading, paired comparison, and then forced choice and checklist and critical incidents method. If you elaborate any 4 or 5 method, that will be a good answer actually. So then, are you able to follow up to here?
Yes, sir.
రైట్ అమ్మా, అదే నోట్ చేసుకుంటే మీకు కొంచెం బెటర్ గా ఉంటుందేమో మరి.
సార్ నోట్ చేస్తున్నాను సార్.
ఆ, కొంచెం నేను ఆన్సర్స్ చెప్తున్నా కదా, మీరు ఆన్సర్ కరెక్ట్ గా రాసుకోవాలండి. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ లెవెల్లో కొంచెం మీరు ఎట్లా ప్రజెంటేషన్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఈ ఒక ఆన్సర్ అనేదాన్ని కూడా మనం ఎక్కువగా చూస్తున్నారు. వీలైతే కొంచెం డయాగ్రమెటిక్ గా కూడా మీరు ఆన్సర్ రాశారనుకోండి, మీకు బాగుంటుంది. కొంచెం డయాగ్రామ్స్ లాగా వేసి లేకపోతే చార్ట్ లాగా ప్రిపేర్ చేస్తే మీకు యూజ్ అవుతుంది. ఇప్పుడు మనకు ఫ్లో చార్ట్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, మెథడ్స్ ఆఫ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అప్రైజర్, ఒక డివైడ్ చేయండి. ట్రెడిషనల్ మెథడ్స్ దాని కింద మళ్ళీ లిస్ట్ రాయండి, మోడర్న్ మెథడ్స్ ఒక లిస్ట్ రాయండి. అట్లా ఒక ఫ్లో చార్ట్, ఒక డయాగ్రమెటిక్ గా కానీ మీరు ప్రెజెంటేషన్ చేస్తే అది మీకు బెటర్ ఆన్సర్ కింద వస్తుంది. రైట్, దెన్
ఓకే
కమింగ్ టు
సార్.
ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. ఇంకెన్ని డౌట్స్ ఏమైనా ఉంటే చెప్పండి.
నో సార్.
రైట్, modern methods of performance appraisal is that modern methods of performance appraisal are there. These are actually highly technical oriented methods. So these are 4 methods are there, and whenever a question appears, what are the methods of performance appraisal? I simply suggest you to go by 4 traditional methods and 4 modern methods you explain. That will be a good answer. So when we are talking about the management by objective, MBO, management by objective. So this is very effective tool for the performance appraisal. Most of the organizations are following this method even nowadays. Actually, this method, management by objective, this you have studied in the first year, there is organizational behavior also. In this case, Peter Drucker, he identified this method is a process whereby the superior and subordinate manager organization sit together. So they will jointly sit together and decide the common goals, define each individual major area of responsibility in terms of the results expected. And so what is the job to be done? What is the achievement targets and how better he is able to achieve, and what is the target to be achieved, how the action plan is to be done, what is goal setting, and all these things are done by consultation with the employee. Management by objective. What is the management by objective? What is the process of MBO? I will explain briefly and so that you can understand. So manager and employee, both of them will sit together and they will identify what is the job nature, and out of the job nature, what is the basically target to be achieved, what is the output of the job, and how better they can perform the job, and what is the goals that are to be achieved, then what is the performance standard of that particular job. All these things are discussed and they are clearly deliberately analyzed between the employee and employer, or otherwise manager, actually speaking. Then once the manager as well as the employee, they came to an understanding, they came to understand, sorry, they will check out a action plan. They will check out an action plan. So on the basis of action plan, on the basis of action plan, they will go with the activities that are to be performed. Okay. So that is one important element on this. So one minute, Andy. Bharati garu. Bharati,
Yes,
ma?
sir.
ఇప్పుడు మీకు క్లాసెస్ యూట్యూబ్ లైవ్ లో దేంట్లో వస్తున్నాయండి?
నేను లింక్ పెడుతున్నా సార్ గ్రూప్ లో.
ఓకే. ఆ లింక్ లో ఈ క్లాసెస్ అన్ని ఉంటున్నాయా?
సార్ ఉంటున్నాయి సార్, అన్ని రికార్డ్స్ చేసి అందులో పోస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. నేను మళ్ళీ ఆ లింక్ తెచ్చి మన గ్రూప్ చేస్తున్నా. ఎవరైనా అటెండ్ కాని వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు కదా, వాళ్ళ కోసం వింటారు
ఏ
కదా
గ్రూప్ లో
మళ్ళీ.
పెట్టావు మరి? ఏ గ్రూప్ లో పెట్టావు? ఇదే ఇప్పుడు పెట్టింది. ప్లీజ్
ఇప్పుడు
జాయిన్ ద
నేను
క్లాస్.
ఎస్
ప్లీజ్
సార్,
జాయిన్ ద. ఓకే. ఈ గ్రూప్ లో మొత్తం ఆ క్లాసెస్ కూడా ఉన్నాయా?
ఉన్నాయి సార్. ఈ రోజు పెట్టలేదు, లాస్ట్ వీక్ పెట్టాను సార్. ఈ రోజు కూడా పోస్ట్ చేస్తా, ఇది అయిపోయిన
అలానా?
తర్వాత అన్ని
ఓకే.
ఒకసారి పెట్టేస్తా.
ఓకే. సరే అయితే ఓకే. ఈ లింక్ చూస్తే క్లాసులు కనబడతాయి చెప్పినవి.
ఎస్ సార్.
ఓకే, రైట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. చూస్తాను. ఇదే బిఆర్ఏఓ ఎంకామ్ ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్.
ఎస్,
రైట్.
ఫస్ట్ అండ్ సెకండ్ ఇయర్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ అమ్మ, చాలా యాక్టివ్ గా ఉన్నావు. సో సో ఓకే. Then second important method is the behaviorally anchored rating scales method. This is mostly sophisticated and technical method which is useful for the purpose of understanding the employee performance. This is behaviorally anchored rating scales are descriptions of the various degrees of the behavior with regard to a specific performance in a dimension. So behaviorally rating scales are the descriptions of various degrees of behavior. So how the employees are behaving with regard to a specific performance dimension. So while taking a direction, while taking a performance dimension, how an employee is behaving, that is identified. It combines functional narration, derivatives, and critical incidents and a qualified ratings by anchoring a qualified scale with the specific behavior of the employee. So in each job, as I told you, a particular behavior is expected. So in the sales representative, or in the case of call center executive, they should not fight on the customer. They should give only positive replies only. So in that situation, so what is their activity? So what is the critical incidents? Already critical incidents we have discussed a lot. So what is the qualified ratings by the this particular employee? So like that, anchored on a quantified scale. What is the quantified scale? From 0 to 10, what is the performance? Or 0 to 5, what is the performance? So like that, on a scale, it will be represented and it is basically understood. by the employees. So this is called as BARS, actually BARS will say. BARS is behaviorally anchored rating scale. In this case, employee required performance and critical incidents, what is the narratives, and qualified ratings are anchored on a particular scale, where from 0 to 5 and so on. That is measured. The following steps in the case of the BARS is that, so first is that generate critical incidents. In the case of BARS, we are discussing on the BARS only, generating the critical incidents. So what is the critical incident? Then what is his behavior? Developing performance dimensions. How an employee can perform. That is another important area. Reallocating the incidents. Then scale these incidents on that. Finally, develop the BARS instrument. This is entirely the process of generating the barcode, the behaviorally anchored rating scale process. Then third one is assessment center. In the case of assessment centers, the concept of assessment center is a recent origin in India. The assessment centers are mainly used for evaluating the performance of the promotional executives. In this method, the executives and superiors come together to a particular well-designed stimulated exercises. They are assessed by the senior managers, by the psychologists, and so on and so forth. So, in the case of the assessment center, both the senior person and the person who is designated to appraise the performance of the employee and also the employee, both of them will go to a particular place, well-designed, stimulated, then they will go with an exercise. Then they identify other psychologists and HR experts. They will judge the performance of the employee. That is another. Then last one, 360-degree appraisal. This is the most popular method after MBO. Management by objectives, that is very, very prominently taken place. And 360-degree appraisal is another very important method which is used for the performance of the employee. This 360-degree appraisal method was first developed by a General Electric company, their GE Motors, GE company in USA, and it is almost used by Indian companies like Wipro, Reliance, Texas, and Thermax, Infosys, etc. In this method, an employee is appraised by the superior, an employee is appraised by the subordinates, by his peers, by his customers, with whom he interacted in the course of job performance. So, in 4 dimensions, we will measure the performance of employee. So how this particular employee is dealing with the subordinates. So how this employee is dealing with the superiors. How the employee is behaving with his peers. Peers means colleagues. How this employee is dealing with the customers. So in these 4 dimensions, we will observe, and on the basis of all the 360-degree, what is his performance, what is his rating, and also the appraising of the feedback by the employee by complete survey, that is questionnaire designed. A well-structured questionnaire is designed for this particular method. So this questionnaire is issued to the superiors, a questionnaire is issued to the supervisors, a questionnaire is issued to the peers, a questionnaire is issued to the customers. So about a particular employee. Then on the basis of the questionnaires, we will assess the performance of the employee. These are the various very, very important aspects in the block number, this block number 9. So let us go back for one while and then we will go with this one. So in the block 3, actually we started the class with the block 3 now. So performance appraisal system. What is meaning of the performance appraisal? What is the definition of performance appraisal? That is, performance appraisal is a system of evaluating the person on the job as well as his future prospects for the developmental issues. And what are the features of performance appraisal? This is this way I have not covered. Let us go for this with a brief short time, and then what are the features of performance appraisal? So already I told you it is a systematic evaluation process. So performance appraisal is not just like that. So we instead of saying one employee is good, one employee is bad, we will go for systematic evaluation of each employee. And it is sequentially organized steps in doing that performance appraisal. So performance appraisal will go on in a sequential wise. That is, we arrange the performance appraisal process in a well-designed stage by stage. Then we will continue. And performance appraisal, as I told you, is not a one-time job. It is a continuous process. But every 3 months, every quarterly, or every half yearly, or every yearly at least, the employee performance is assessed. Then what is the another one? It is not the question to penalize the employee. It is not the question of penalizing the employee, or it is not the question of degrading the employee. It is identifying the employee's strengths and weaknesses, or examination of the employee's strengths and weaknesses. What is the strengths of an employee? So whether he can be promoted to the next higher level, or whether he can be used for next better job position, and so on and so forth. Or else at the same time, what are the weaknesses of the employee? So when we are talking about weaknesses of the employee, where is the position, where is the weakness for him, or how he is facing difficulty in performing the job. All these aspects will be considered in case of the performance appraisal study. So examination of employees' strengths and weaknesses are identified in the performance appraisal process. Then provide coaching and motivation. Sometimes, if an employee is not able to perform the job properly, he may require coaching. So, how to do better? Then, at the same time, he will be motivated to do the better, better, better. So, unless a motivated employee, he cannot go for the, unless an employee is motivated, he cannot go for the betterment of his job. ఇప్పుడు మనం జాబ్ లో ఇంట్రెస్ట్ లేదనుకోండి, మనం ఆ జాబ్ గురించి ఏ రకంగా నేర్చుకోము, మనం ఆ జాబ్ ని మనం ఇంట్రెస్ట్ గా చేయలేము. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అరైజ్. సో ఇఫ్ యూ create motivation to do the job better, then employee will try to perform better. Then, lastly, reduce the grievance. So, whatever the difficulties he is facing, whatever the problems he is facing, all the difficulties are to be reduced and improve employee superior relationship is to be. So, whenever there is a difficulty, why the difficulty or what is the problem, what is the cause of the grievance, and how that employee can improve the superior relations between the employee and superior. This is to be identified. Improve promotion based performance. That is another important area. Improve the
promotion based performance.
promotion based performance of the promotion based performance of the employee. సో ఒక ఎంప్లాయీని మనం ఏ రకంగా డెవలప్ చేస్తే అతనికి ప్రమోషన్ ఇచ్చి హయ్యర్ లెవెల్లో అతని సర్వీసెస్ యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అనేది ఇక్కడ ఒక చిన్న పాయింట్ అండి. ఎంప్లాయీని ప్రమోట్ చేయడం అనేది ఎంప్లాయీ ఒక్కళ్ళగా కాదు, ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్. మనం అన్లెస్ ఎంప్లాయీ ఇస్ ట్రైన్ టు డూ బెటర్, హౌ ఐ కెన్ ఫిల్ అప్ ద హయ్యర్ లెవెల్ పొజిషన్స్. This is a very, very important area. So these are the important features of the performance appraisal system. What is performance appraisal? This is one. This is two. This is features of performance appraisal. Objectives of performance appraisal. Objectives of performance appraisal. Process of performance appraisal. Methods of performance appraisal. Under that, two methods are there: traditional methods and then modern methods of performance appraisal. Then, with that, the performance appraisal methods are completed. And block 3, another lesson I am able to complete now with this particular class. So, let us go with the another small important lesson, and then we will go for the next. Okay? Right. In the block 3 itself, now after this smallest aspect, I will revise the syllabus concepts one by one and then we will proceed further. Actually, in the block 3, another important aspect is that is unit number 11. In the unit number 11, that is entirely dependent on this is your syllabus copy actually. Career planning, development, career planning, development, career development, career planning and career management, career planning and succession planning. Out of all this, internal versus external mobility, organization plans for career planning and all. So out of all this, need and process of career planning and development of career planning process is very, very important. So actually, what is meaning of the career planning? What is the main important aspect of the career plan? That we will go now. So actually, what is career planning? We are all doing the career planning only. Right from the taking up of the job, right from even the career need not be job only. Career may be in the form of academics also. మనం ఏం చదవాలి, మనం ఏం చేయాలి, మన కెరీర్ ఏ రకంగా ఉంటుంది, మనం ఏ రకంగా బెటర్మెంట్ సాధించాలి, ఇవన్నీ కూడా కెరీర్ ప్లానింగ్. So career need not be a job career, but it may be academic career also. So what to do next? That is very, very important. After doing this MCOM, what do you want to do? That is another career planning aspect. So nowadays, almost all universities they have so many of vacancies. If anybody is able to clear the net and set, they are eligible to take up the position of the faculty member. So approaching towards that one, or taking the admission to a PhD course. That is another career planning aspect. So while coming to the academics, that is one. While coming to the career planning towards the employment. So it is what is that one? Deliberate process of becoming aware of self opportunities. Here, career planning is mostly done by the employee centered approach. So, becoming aware of self opportunities. What are the opportunities that I am having? So, where I can grow? What is the possibilities that I can grow? And then at the same time, what are the constraints that are there for that? What are the constraints that are there for that? So then I will identify what are the difficulties, right? This is very clearly to be understood that it is useful for our daily life also. When actually when I started this job, I identified so many opportunities, but I want to have a clarity. But what I want to become, that's all. That is called as awareness about the self opportunities. What is the opportunities that are available? What are the constraints that are there with that? And what to make a choice out of that, and then what are the consequences of selecting that particular choice. అంటే మనం ఏ రకమైనటువంటి ఆపర్చునిటీని తీసుకోవాలి, దాంట్లో ఉండేటువంటి కన్స్టెంట్స్ ఏముంటాయి, ఆ చాయిస్ చేస్తే వాట్ ఈస్ ద కాన్సిక్వెన్స్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ దట్, ఆల్ దీస్ ఆర్ ఐడెంటిఫై. Then lastly, identifying the career related goals also. So if in a particular job, what is the career related goal? For example, if you join in a company as an accountant, next, what is the career plan? You must become an accounts officer. Then you must become a general manager accounts, then finance, like that. So if you become a lecturer, then assistant professor, then associate professor, then professor, like that, you should be able to plan for the future. That is, identify the career related goals in that particular area. Then programming the work and education and related development experience to provide the direction and the training. So just if you feel, Krish, so I hope you are now clear. Programming, the three things are very much required. Programming three aspects. That is, one is work, second is education, third is developmental experience. So just if I want to become something like a general manager, it cannot be done overnight. So to that, what is required? What type of work you should learn? What type of education you need? What is the experience that you need? All these aspects have to be identified very clearly. So that gives a direction and timing towards achievement of that particular career. So this is very important element what you have to understand. So then, what is the need of the career development? Here we understood that in this particular lesson, what is the importance of the career planning? So unless you, what is career planning? Okay, it is deliberate process of awareness of self-appraisal system, self-knowing the situation, then program it, then education required and employment then. So what is the need of the career development actually? అసలు మనకి career development అనేది ఎందుకు కావాలి? So every employee wants to grow on his own. So nobody wants to stick on to the present position, except he is not having the specific skills also. So every employee wants to grow. But just I want to grow means this is not possible. You must put your efforts on that. So what that is need to attract the competent people towards the organization and retain them. What is career development within the organization context? మరి ఇప్పుడు ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ ఎందుకు కెరీర్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ని ప్రమోట్ చేస్తున్నాయి, కెరీర్ ప్లానింగ్ ఎందుకు ప్రమోట్ చేస్తున్నాయి? ప్రతి ఎంప్లాయీ కూడా కెరీర్ ప్లాన్ చేసుకోవాలి, ప్రతి ఎంప్లాయీ కూడా కెరీర్ ని ఒక ఛాలెంజింగ్ గా తీసుకోవాలి అని చెప్పి చెప్తున్నారు. The reason is that when an employee is promoted, when an employee works towards the higher levels, organization can retain them and get benefits of them. To provide sustainable promotional gateways towards the employee. When an employee is able to get higher level qualification, higher level experience, and all higher level work element and higher performance standards, then he will be promoted definitely, and he will be suitable for the promotional gateways to the other positions. అంటే మనం ఏదైనా ఒక వర్క్ నేర్చుకున్నాం అనుకోండి, అప్పుడు మనం ఆర్గనైజేషన్ లో హయ్యర్ లెవెల్ కి వెళ్ళడానికి అవకాశం ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. టు ప్రొవైడ్ ద ఆపర్చునిటీస్ టు మేక్ దమ్ కాంపిటెంట్ టు మేక్ ద ఫ్యూచర్ ఛాలెంజెస్. సో when we are talking about that. So then to provide the opportunity to make them competent to meet the future challenges. If you know what is the career development, if you are planning the career in future, then at the same time you can meet the future challenges also. In some sort of recession, in recession period in the software development, in the very recently also when the recession came in the software companies, so many shifted to the employment of teaching and other companies, other activities and so on. So that will they can meet the challenges. Sometimes in the organization itself there may be a challenge. Then the people who are able to make a competitive spirit are there those who are able to plan their career well, they can go for the future challenges. Then rectify the placement policy. So how to place the employees? So how to place the employees? And that policy can be rectified if you have any sort of career planning policy and minimize employee dissatisfaction and employee turnover. So if you are providing a better place to the employee for career planning, so okay, Babu, you learn more, you get this skill, or you develop your education, then I will promote you towards the next higher level position. అంటే నువ్వు ఈ రకంగా చేసుకో, నీకు ఇంక్రిమెంట్ ఇస్తాము, లేకపోతే నీకు హయ్యర్ లెవెల్ పొజిషన్ ఇస్తాము అని చెప్పి మన ఎంప్లాయీస్ ని ప్రమోట్ చేసినట్లయితే, లేదా హయ్యర్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ క్వాలిఫికేషన్ పెంచుకోండి, లేకపోతే ఈ రకమైన స్కిల్స్ నేర్చుకోండి అని మనం అతని కెరీర్ ప్లానింగ్ చేసినట్లయితే అతనికి డిస్సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ లెవెల్స్ అనేది తగ్గుతాయి. When he is not, when he is in the dissatisfaction stage, any employee, if he is dissatisfied, what he will do? He will resign and go. That's all. He will search for another opportunity. Whether it is suits to him or not, that's a different matter. This can be reduced by means of career planning and career development itself. So minimize the employee dissatisfaction and we can reduce the turnover also in this. Turnover means it is not sales turnover, it is employee turnover. Employee turnover means persons who are joining in the organization and leaving the organization. That is called turnover. So labor turnover actually. Improve employee motivation and morale. So they will work together if you are providing a group norms to them, achieve goals, try to make your career future better. So if you go like that, they can work with higher level of motivation and they will be dedicated towards the organization. These are the important aspects of this. So while talking with that, this process of development, career planning, that is how it can be done, and all these aspects you try to make out. And just 1 second. We'll go this also. Career planning. So explain actually career planning need is completed. Need is completed. Then actually we need to go for the steps involved in the career planning process or process of career planning. This is also an important element. So that is career planning process. So in the career planning process, first one is that exploring the needs of there are four aspects in this. With that, we will close the class today. So there are four important that slide is not made out. So after the need, we know for the process of that will process of this one. So process of this one. So whenever we are talking about the process of career planning, first is exploring the needs of the goals of the employee. What is the needs of the employee? What is the goals of the employees first? అంటే మన ఎంప్లాయీస్ ఏ రకంగా ప్రమోట్ అవ్వదలుచుకున్నారు, వాళ్ళ యొక్క నీడ్స్ ఏమున్నాయి, వాళ్ళ గోల్స్ ఏమున్నాయి ఐడెంటిఫై చేయాలి, అండ్ దెన్ ఇంటర్ప్రెట్ ద కెరీర్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్. Second step is that interpret the career opportunity, whether he is able to make out that particular opportunity better. అంటే వాళ్ళ యొక్క ఆపర్చునిటీస్ ఏ రకంగా ఉన్నాయో దీస్ కెరీర్ పాత్స్ ఆర్ రిప్రజెంటెడ్, ఎవాల్యుయేట్ డిఫరెంట్ కెరీర్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ అండ్ కెరీర్ పాత్స్ అవైలబుల్ టు ది ఆర్గనైజేషన్. విత్ ఇన్ ది ఆర్గనైజేషనల్ లెవెల్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద కెరీర్ పాత్స్ అవైలబుల్, దట్ ఈస్ టు బి ఐడెంటిఫైడ్. Determining the capabilities and incapabilities of the employee. All the persons cannot be capable of doing all the jobs. Each employee is to be identified on the basis of his capability. So a person, if he is good at computer operating system, he can be promoted to the EDP department. Like that, developments can be given in this particular area. Sometimes a person is not able to do certain things. Then He can be worked in the another capacity. Then lastly, formulating measures and a regular scrutinization of these processes are to be made. So formulating measures. So what are the measures that are to be taken to go for a career planning aspect? And then regular scrutinization of these plans are very, very important. With these steps, actually, ఈ questions చాలా important అండి. Block number 3 లో యూనిట్ నెంబర్ 11 needed process of career planning and development. What is career planning? What is the need of career planning? What is the process of career planning? Okay, these aspects you have to understand and learn. Right? I hope you are able to understand this class better. Am I right?
Yes.
సో
Yes, sir.
మీకు
Yes, sir.
ఇంపార్టెంట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ కూడా ప్యారలల్ గా ఇస్తున్నాను. మీరు నేర్చుకోండి. రేపటి క్లాస్
Yes.
లో కూడా ఒకసారి మనం మిగిలిన కూడా చూద్దాం. ఇక లాస్ట్ 29th 30th క్లాస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆ రెండు క్లాసుల్లో బ్లాక్ 5 ఆల్రెడీ బ్లాక్ 4 లో కూడా ఒక యూనిట్ అయిపోయింది. బ్లాక్ 5 కూడా కంప్లీట్ చేద్దాం. ఓకేనా?
Okay, sir.
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ. బాయ్.
Thank you so much.
బాయ్.
Thank you.